Alright, we're going to revisit the Boomerang. So today I'm going to use this to do some of the heavy lifting and do some of the stuff that the little tool couldn't do. And I've actually got my handheld bastard file. This one's nice because it actually has a handle. And I'm going to work on the airfoils today. So it's basically actually flies right now. You can see I started just to see if this is going to work, and it looks like it's going to be quite promising. So let's get started. One thing to remember when you're making a boomerang is you have to be conscious of how you're throwing it and which hand you're using. So for a right-handed thrower like me, and I want to be able to throw it curve in, to get the airfoil correctly, I need two curves. I need the first curve to be very severe, like an airplane wing, so like that, and then I need to work on this side to be very tapered. So the air can come up over here abruptly and go down nice and slowly, so it actually catches wind and actually will switch halfway through here where I have the mark, so it actually gets the rotating action and hopefully comes back and isn't just a stick. Alright, now you can see we have the two sides. We have this really abrupt side that's going to go into the wind, and we have this side that's a lot wider and longer, and we have this groove in the center. Now what we have to do is come in here with this file, and we're going to have to make this rounded, because wind, if the air was to come over here, it's just going to go up, and it's going to totally destroy the aerodynamicy of this piece of wood. So right now I'm just going to go, probably in long strokes like this, just go over, just keep going like that all the way up and down this thing until we have a nice consistent curve to the entire thing. Alright, so I got pretty much where exactly I want to be. It's nice and smooth, and the bottom has to be flat for this to work. And got kind of a knot going right along in here. So let's use the axe. Alright. And the thing about carving with an axe is you're doing a lot more at once than you would be with a knife or a smaller tool like what I was using in the last video. So you actually cannot start with the grain. If you're going to go with the grain, you only want to do little bits at a time, like before, so feather it. And if you go sideways like this, you're only going to dent your wood in the fibers. And if you go straight with the wood, you're going to do way more damage than you need to, so you need to just do a little bits inwards at a slight degree. It always pays to choke up on the axe too. It gives you more control. Just get this a little bit flatter. And actually this is a good example. The grain to this wood is actually wavy. So that can be fixed with the file afterward. You don't want to worry about that too much if your wood's like that. You can actually keep it and add it as part of the decoration of the piece. But you just got to worry about the grain. Like right here, all the knots are, the wood gets a lot fatter. You can especially see it along the sides. So right now I'm just going to try to work around that as much as I can. Again, choking up on this. Also pays to have a really sharp axe, which you can actually sharpen with the bastard file if you know what you're doing, or you can use something like the concrete right here and just treat it as a stone. Let's work with that. And now we're going to work on the opposite side. And because we want this to spin, we can't actually continue with this same pattern all the way around. We're actually going to switch it. So right here we have the abrupt angle, and we have here the very tapered one. So right now we're going to switch right here where this is where the line was, this is where I stopped. We're going to have the very abrupt side on this side. So when it comes back in, it keeps spinning. So this is like the forward part of the wing. This is the forward part of the wing, so we want to spin in the middle. So we measured that out, we eyeballed it. And then we're going to have the tapered side, instead of being here on this side, it's going to be on this side. So let's work on that. And one thing that's actually really important that I haven't seen a lot of people do is talk about the grain of the wood, which is really important. You got to be aware of what kind of wood you're using. And if you see here how this grain, this darker line, is coming out, it's flat where I want it to be. This is the more abrupt side that I'm working on. And then it goes up. for me to know this is consistent without measuring, is I want this line to be straight along the entire face of it, like I'm working on down here. So I want the rest of it to look like. So if I go down here, and I just take some away. Trying to keep my angle consistent, so I'm not trying to actually move my wrist, just move my arms. You'll actually see that this grain is becoming more straight. You can see how it dips in a little bit right here. So I'm going to want to take some away. And see it's getting more straight with the rest of the wood, becoming more uniform. And see now it's pretty straight, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to continue along the way. And one thing to be cautious of is not to move just in a straight line, because I can show you. You get these grooves in the wood from the file because it actually has teeth on it. So what you want to do when you move forward, kind of move at an angle, and when you move back, move at a different angle. And that counteracts those grooves being formed, and it makes it a lot smoother as you keep going. So I'm going to finish up the side and I'll get back to you. One problem I think I actually have with this is the fact that it's where I want it. It's curved properly. I just tried to throw it and it doesn't come back. It just flies nice and straight, which is, I mean, what a throwing stick is meant to do. The coming back part just an added bonus. It's because this is a light wood. It's not heavy enough to actually have the mass to come back. If I was to use a hardwood such as this kiavi, or even eucalyptus, which is probably the preferred, it would come back. But as you can see, I mean, even this little spine, I can't break off. I mean, you can definitely get through it with an axe. It's going to take you longer than using a softwood for demonstration purposes. You can use pine, but for certain things, I wouldn't necessarily use it for a boomerang. You can use 2x6s like this, which is what I used to make my Bullroarer, which I actually have here. This does work. Again, you have to get your air profiling right. I came after this with a sandpaper and the file, and it was in the wood like that. I just carved it out with the axe. I drew a shape on there that I wanted, and I came after it with this, carved it out, and this does work, and I can show you. Alright, let's give this a try. You have to be careful using these because this will destroy your finger. You can get nasty blisters right on your joints. So I'm just going to take this one nice and slow. I'm actually going to put it in my finger like that, wrap around so I have a cushion, and I'm just going to go like this. So it's actually not just pulling, it's going to just be pulling on itself so I don't get hurt. Alright, stand back, dog. Alright, you just want to start with like a nice little pendulum motion, and you'll see that the end of it starts to spin. See if I can not whack myself. And then, once you're happy with that spin, and the spin happens only because of those airfoils that we did. I don't know if you can hear it yet. Gotta get it started. Almost. I think you get the point of that. This tool is actually found in pretty much every ancient culture. Probably most famous for using it is the Australians, the Aboriginals. It's a music device used to communicate over long distance. And you can make them longer. You can do very decorative stuff. This is just very basic, just to apply my skills. Hope you guys had a nice day. We'll revisit the boomerang next time I find a nice piece of wood. But until then, see you guys next time.